What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Comic Island. Wait. Today's a funny situation. I got no comics and I'm actually on an island. We are in Maldives and it is my honeymoon. The wife's visiting the spa and she thinks I'm having drinks at the bar, but why have drinks at the bar when we can talk about comics? Let's not tell my wife. If she asks, I'm slamming tequila with a bartender. But back to what's truly important. As you guys may know, I'm a huge fan of Batman, but he's DC. When it comes to Marvel Comics, I always gravitate to what's truly important to me, which are the X-Men. So in today's episode, Uncle Joe is here to help you navigate through the rough world of the X-Men, and hopefully I can help you pick up an X-Men comic to dig your teeth into. Alrighty, roll the intro. Oh my god, it's so hot here. 2018 will be the year of the mutants because there are over 12 comics involving the core X-Men members and the B-class mutants that we all love, so there will be a story for everyone. But the complication is, where do we start with the X-Men in 2018? It has been a good 20 years since the ending of my favorite show, The X-Men, the animated series, so I often gravitate to the main characters in that show, but over time, I've added more favorites into my little collection of superheroes that didn't make it onto the big screen or the small screen. So in this video, I'm gonna attempt to explain what I think you need to know before jumping into one of my favorite X-Men titles released this year. By the way, guys, beware of spoilers, I'm gonna be talking about it. First off, let's take a look at the X-Men's base of operations, the Xavier Institute for Higher Learning. After it got rebuilt and destroyed a few times, and following Charles Xavier and Jean Grey's death, Wolverine had to rebuild as the Jean Grey School for Higher Learning, where he acted as headmaster for a long time. Wolverine lost his healing abilities a couple years ago and got encased in hot adamantium, which ended his life. The X-Men retrieved the adamantium statue and placed it in a safe spot for their friend to literally rest in peace. The following year sees Marvel shining a huge spotlight on some of the junior superheroes such as X-23, the young original 5 X-Men, and a plethora of junior Avengers such as the Hulk, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, and other members of the Champions group. And then the event X-Men vs. Inhumans sparked it all. This was an all-out war pitting the mutant populace against the Inhumans. The Jean Grey School had to be moved into limbo as a haven for mutants who don't want to live in a world where 2 deadly Terrigen clouds could make them extremely ill and even kill them. We saw Hank McCoy take the Inhumans side and the death of an X-Men revolutionist, Scott Summers, aka Cyclops. Storm is now headmistress of the school and has spearheaded the assault on the Inhumans, backed up by Magneto's faction of the X-Men. Oh yeah, Magneto is a leader. More on this later. At the end, it was Emma Frost playing Puppet Master, causing the X-Men and the Inhumans to stop their squabbling and turn their sights on the White Queen. Emma escapes, making her public enemy number 1, and Medusa steps down as Queen of the Inhumans due to her rash decision to wage war on the X-Men. The same thing goes for Storm as well, where we see her yielding the headmistress role over to Kitty Pryde, who was absent from Earth during the whole ordeal. She was traveling in space with her then boyfriend, Star-Lord. Oh, and she gained godly powers and gave them up as well. During the whole Inhumans vs. X-Men war, we saw 2 characters step up and take their place of the X-Men pie. Laura Kinney, aka X-23, survived Avengers Arena, where a villain named Arcade pitted young heroes against each other. Kinda like Hunger Games, but with fireballs and superpowers. She was taken in by the original 5 X-Men team, where she became their 6th member. After Logan's death, Laura Kinney, with the blessing of her teammates, took on the mantle of the all-new Wolverine, but she isn't the only one vying for the Wolverine title. Old Man Logan came from the Wastelands, an ultimate timeline where he murdered his closest friends in the X-Men. Without Xavier's legacy protecting the world, the villains all teamed up and took over, decimating countries in their wake. All that is left is Bruce Banner and his inbred children, the Hulk gang, bullying the rest of the populace. Logan carved his way till there was nothing left to carve, and somehow he reawakened in the main 616 following the events of Battleworld, where we see the Ultimate Universe merge with the 616 universe. Old Man Logan has a weakened healing factor, but what he lacks in that department, he makes up in experience and raw rage. He joins Storm's team of the X-Men, but he often takes huge breaks from the team to form his own. Following a targeted attack on his old Weapon X buddies, he tracks them all down to take on the establishment that tortured him and making him the perfect killer. Sabretooth, Lady Deathstrike, Domino, and Warpath joins Old Man Logan in taking down the Weapon X Institute, and this is also where we see the return of William Stryker and the formation of a new being with the powers of the Hulk and Wolverine combined, called the Weapon H. During the same time, we move over to the time-displaced X-Men, who recently discovered that they are no longer time-displaced because the past moved on without them. Young Beast is becoming his own man due to the fact that he is now experimenting with magic with the help from Doctor Strange and even Madeline Pryor, the Queen of Hell. Hank opens a doorway for him and his teammate to return back to their timeline, but instead of finding home, they found that the time stream corrected itself by replacing each members as if they never left in the first place. So without a past to go back to, the team returns back to present day to find their place amongst a pantheon of heroes. These youngsters fought alongside the X-Men during the war against the Inhumans, but it was young Cyclops and a few other Inhumans who chose a third option for peace instead of war, which ignited the spark that was needed for both teams to cease fire. Following the war, they traveled in their van as a base of operations, and they welcomed two new members to their team, Kid Apocalypse and ID, who chose to take some time away from the X-Men school. Unbeknownst to the team, Magneto's faction of the X-Men, which consists of Monet, Sabretooth, Phantom X, Mystique, and Psylocke, disbanded, so he convinces young Jean Grey to join him in a mission to protect mutants. Even though the young X-Men are invited to stay at the new X-Men school, which moved to Central Park, they refused and decided to follow Magneto, who now operates outside of Madripoor. Oh yeah, talking about the new X-Men base of operations, let's rewind a bit. So as you may know, the X-Men HQ was moved from Limbo to keep mutants away from the Terrigen Cloud. It was renamed X-Haven with Storm's leadership, but after the Terrigen Cloud was destroyed and mutants are safe, Storm gave up her leadership title to Kitty Pryde, who recently returned from space. With Magic's help, they moved the school back to Earth in Central Park, now called the Xavier Institute for Mutant Education and Outreach. This will also be a setting for Jubilee to take center stage as mentor to a bunch of misfit students in the title Generation X. When Purifiers attack and the core X-Men team are off doing heroic things, Jubilee leads a small team consisting of Eyeboy, Nature Girl, Bling, Morph, and Quentin Quire, aka Kid Omega, to take on this new threat. Okay, I gotta take a moment to say something. Quentin Quire is such an interesting character and an Omega level telepath. He is powerful and has such a rich history, but Marvel appears to not know what to do with this guy. So he is stuck in the Juniors League, where he can easily carry his own weight as being a core protagonist in his own story arc. Sorry about the rambling, back to the story. Soon after, Monet is revealed to be a monster terrorizing the team, but this is due to the fact that she is under her brother's possession. Emplate is a vampiric villain who took the fight to Magneto's faction of the X-Men last year. It ended with Monet sacrificing herself to take Emplate into her body in hopes of containing him. She was welcomed back into the school, but of course, the vampiric Emplate takes control every once in a while to terrorize the student body. Now we move back to the return of the core X-Men member Jean Grey, the original Marvel girl. Her spirit somehow left the white hot room and came seeking her younger self, warning her that the Phoenix is returning and will find its favorite host. Young Jean sought the help of others who have been possessed by the Phoenix Force. She even went to Avengers member for training, but all to no avail. The Phoenix returns and it turned her body into ash. It also created a pocket dimension on Earth where it revived the original Jean Grey in hopes of alluring her to rebond with the entity. The entire X-Men lineup tracked their missing telepaths, such as the Stafford sisters, Quentin Quire, and Hope Summers, to this pocket dimension where it was Old Man Logan who went in and woke Jean up. She then rejects the Phoenix Force's entity of godhood and a way to protect her friends with this immense power. The Phoenix entity dissipates in her hands, leaving a very much alive Jean Grey. Since her return, Jean Grey tackles on a huge task. She takes on the United Nations in hopes of her kind and mutant kind, Homo superiors, to be recognized as its own nation. The problem is, we have seen this before in Genosha and Utopia. Every time mutants have gathered, they became a bigger target. But this time, Jean Grey will try again, much to the scorn of the UN. But Namor, the king of Atlantis, and T'Challa, the king of Wakanda, both stands up and recognizes Jean Grey and the mutant nation. During this same time, the spirit of the young Jean Grey fought her way through what I believe to be the white hot room to come face to face with the entity itself. Here, she convinces the Phoenix to resurrect her and so she can be reborn and brought back to the land of the living. From here, we catch up with Psylocke over at Astonishing X-Men, where we see the return of the Shadow King playing a game of chess in the astral plane with none other than what remains to be Xavier's psyche. What started it all was that the Shadow King psionically attacks Psylocke, causing her to call for help. She sends a distress call to Bishop, Angel, Rogue, Logan, and Gambit, who got stuck with Phantom X during a thieving job. So Phantom X tags along for the ride. The group meets up in London where Psylocke sends in her team to the astral plane to defeat the Shadow King, while Bishop and Angel stands guard because them London cops don't appreciate mutant activity disturbing their peace. What results from this is the bad guy getting defeated and Phantom X trading places with Xavier's psyche. Now we have Phantom X's body with a man claiming to be Xavier as part of the team. Logan is all over the place in multiple X-Men titles with a title of his own, but I want to discuss Psylocke and her adventures with Magneto for a brief moment. In 2016, Magneto foresaw the Inhuman Terrigen bomb threat to mutants following Black Bolt detonating his secret crystals. Eric recruits Monet. He takes on Sabretooth, who is still succumbed to the reversion spell, making him a good guy. He approaches Psylocke to help him with his quest, making her co-leader. And with Psylocke comes her package, the Archangel, a mindless killing machine who only listens to Psylocke. You see, at this stage in Warren Worthington's career, he is essentially gone, but not to fear. The ending of Magneto's run as leader of his own X-Men team results in Warren getting his mind back. Psylocke felt betrayed by Magneto for his dark methods and secrets. One secret is having Mystique and Phantom X being in his shadows. For this betrayal, Psylocke hunted Magneto down and had a fight to the death. Psylocke left victorious, meaning Eric got put down, but of course, no mutant stays dead forever. Elixir, former New Mutant, arrives and resurrects Eric almost immediately after Psylocke leaves. So now Magneto has a young X-Men doing his work, and Psylocke returns to the X-Men and doing battle with the Shadow King in Astonishing X-Men Volume 3. So, as stated earlier, the X-Mansion is returned from Limbo to Earth, taking residence in Central Park of all places. Storm relinquishes the title of headmistress to the school over to Kitty. She takes on Storm as second in command with fellow teammates Colossus, Nightcrawler, Old Man Logan, who is just everywhere, and the return of Rachel Gray, now with a new costume and a new code name, Prestige. This is where the X-Men goes back to their roots, fighting for mutant-human coexistence in a world who fears and hates them. The Brotherhood has returned. Kitty goes to Congress to fight a mutant deportation act. Omega Red gets resurrected and returns to villainy. Mojo attacks every X-Men on active duty, making them play his twisted games. And of course, the big wedding of 2018, the wedding of Colossus and Kitty Pryde. Rogue has been away from the X-Men for quite some time now, ever since her battle with She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel back in 2012 during the Avengers vs. X-Men event. Rogue got recruited by Captain America in hopes of forming a unity squad consisting of mutants and Avengers to show the world that there isn't any bad blood between the two and that two warring parties can come together for a greater purpose. Logan and Cyclops' brother Havoc also took part in the Unity Squad, where we see Havoc leading the team. This is where we move away from the X-Men titles and we focus more on the Uncanny Avengers and Captain America's pet project, the Unity Squad. Rogue, Havoc, and Logan all served the Unity Squad well, up until Exitar, the Celestial Executioner, came seeking revenge on Earth for the death of one of his own. Rogue absorbed every Avengers and X-Men's power onto herself and went to hold off the Celestial until more help came. But after she gave back her powers, we discovered that Wonder Man's psyche was still stuck in her subconscious, much to the dismay of girlfriend Scarlet Witch. The heroes come out victorious but not unscathed. Logan is now dead, encased in solid adamantium. Havoc was left horribly disfigured after being covered in celestial hot magma, and he suffers from the trauma of losing his daughter he had with the Wasp in a different timeline when he was forced to endure along with the rest of the mutant population. The Access event happens shortly after, which saw the Red Skull with Xavier's brain and powers over telepathy turn into the Red Onslaught. Rogue, Havoc, and the rest of the team took the Onslaught down, but the Skull got away. Captain America disbanded the Unity Squad shortly after due to Rogue and certain mutants joined by Cable attempted to find a cure for the Terrigen poisoning. At this same time, no one knew that Captain America was secretly a Hydra agent, so even though he disbanded the team, Rogue kept it alive by continuing to lead her fellow teammates with a new addition, the Inhuman Synapse and Dr. Voodoo. The Unity Squad, without the government's support, finally put an end to the Red Skull's tyranny when they removed the part of brain matter he stole from Xavier, giving him the Professor's powers. Captain America, aka the Sleeper Agent, came to claim it, calling it a weapon of mass destruction, but true to X-Men fashion, Rogue refused and rushed it into the air where the Human Torch destroyed the last bit of Xavier so that no one would ever use his brain again. The mega event of 2017 saw Hydra climbing to the top by taking over the world. Every hero was scrambled, and Captain America Steve Rogers took the throne of Hydra Supreme. A part of the Unity Squad led by Rogue got trapped in the Dark Force bubble surrounding Manhattan, and oh yeah, they are facing off against demonic creatures from the Dark Force dimension. Elsewhere, Emma Frost, Beast, and Zorn negotiated with the Hydra Supreme for a sovereign nation, allowing them to keep mutants safe. He grants them this and gave them California, now called New Tian. With Havoc's support, they imprisoned the young X-Men, but Magneto sent his daughter Polaris and the android Danger to lend support to his team. Under the veil of the Dark Force dimension, Kitty Pryde and the remaining X-Men were left out of the bigger battle against Hydra as they seek a killer on the school grounds. But once the Dark Force bubble got lifted, along with Earth's planetary defenses going down, the remaining Avengers and the X-Men all joined forces, taking the fight directly to the Hydra Supreme. The event, of course, ends with the living Cosmic Cube Kobik returning to bring back the original Captain America, and he takes the fight directly to his alter ego. The problem is, Hydra Supreme and Captain America are still Steve Rogers, so it wasn't until the original Cap, being worthy, picks up Thor's hammer and knocks the Hydra Supreme out cold. The sentient Cosmic Cube Kobik returns everything to what it once was, and the heroes now must rebuild following Hydra's takeover of the world and Black Widow's death. This brings us into 2018. Kitty Pryde still leads the X-Men. Laura Kinney is returning to her X-23 code name, and she has a new sidekick, a young clone of herself named Honey Badger. Old Man Logan is on and off with the X-Men, and he even takes on a remaining Hulk gang from his timeline. He kills like crazy in his solo series, but we see his leadership skills shine when he joins forces with Lady Deathstrike, Sabretooth, Warpath, and Domino in the Weapon X series. Oh, and FYI, Sabretooth hasn't been a crazed villain since the Access event. He will hurt people, but he shows a lot more control compared to the Sabretooth from the 90s. Magneto had to reveal that he is still alive and well to the X-Men, and he still leads the young team along with his daughter Polaris and the Living Danger Room as his fellow teachers. And to end this video, as you may know, the original Wolverine is back following Marvel's Legacy issue 1, where we see him in possession of an Infinity Gem. He is slowly making his way around the MCU, and we all know he will get involved with the Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain Marvel. I know I went everywhere in this video because I want to get back to what I like talking about: random facts, storylines, history lessons, and of course the X-Men. So if you want me to discuss anything happening to the X-Men right now, let me know in the comments below. I would love to dig deeper into the infamous Old Man Logan, or even talk about Rogue's adventures with the Unity Squad and her battle with the Apocalypse Twins. Or how about Secret Wars? No, sorry, we don't talk about Secret Wars. That never happened. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video and want to support us, I recommend checking out our Patreon page. The link will be in the description below. Thanks again, and if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time in another Comic Island video.